things like I was looking over like too is like when one of the big arguments that you have is like kind of moving away from back into just like overall UGA college sports. Because you and me, just to let everyone know, we're
Are we moving away from college sports?
no.
Oh,
I'm
okay.
saying like
Because
just
I wanted to touch on something before we move on, but
like
continue.
no, I was just going to say I was just going to go through and like let's talk about the schedule this year.
That's what I was about to talk
All right,
about. Look at
perfect.
us. Look at us.
We're
Look at
connected.
us. We're connected.
So like everyone like jokes and like makes like the complaint about the college schedule.
Mhm.
Like when as a band, like I intentionally like hey, like I know like these are home games. Any of these home games that I can get booked, please book me. I will play for a good rate
Yeah.
because I know it's going to be packed. Like
Yeah.
just the overflow. Every bar is busting at the rim to like have like anybody in there. They're like turning people away on game day nights in most college towns.
Yeah.
So it's like going through the schedule this year. Clemson UGA opener, obviously
We'll win that one.
we'll win that one. Georgia Kentucky.
We'll win that. Is that
Or
one's at
sorry,
home?
well it's yeah, it's Clemson at Georgia, and then we got
Well, that's a neutral field. Clemson and it's Atlanta.
it's Atlanta. It's
Yeah.
it's I know.
Technically a neutral field.
It's as neutral as Gainesville is for the.
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly. We'll win that. Dabo Sweeney, he does not utilize the transfer portal like he needs to.
He's still in
I
the
think
old mentality.
he's and you know what? I respect him for it. But if you want a national championship level team, you've got to get with the times. Use the transfer portal to your advantage. Dabo Sweeney does not do that. I respect him for it. And if you want to go for an ACC title, you can do it.
By all means.
National championship level, I don't think you can do that in today's day and age. I think we beat. Can I give predictions on all of these games?
Please. That's what I wanted to
Okay.
do.
I think we beat Clemson by 21 points.
Okay, fair.
Okay.
I think that for a first game, I definitely like with UGA's past. They're not gonna like have a shutdown. It's gonna be the defense is going to struggle like they usually do until the second half, and then
Yep.
they're really going to be a lockdown defense. I definitely think they're in somewhere in the 27 or 21 to like maybe 30 something like lead, but it's not going to be a shutout. Like I think
No, I think
Clemson's,
my score
14
prediction
for Clemson.
my score prediction is going to be 28-7
Okay, that's respectable.
Georgia.
And then next game.
28-10. 28-10.
All right.
Throw a field goal on there for Clemson. 28-10.
I feel like they're going to get some field goals.
Yep.
Next game's a blowout. Tennessee Tech versus Georgia.
It'll be a blowout, but I think Kirby will want to keep the playbook closed. I think we'll win by a blowout, but I don't think we'll hit
36,
more.
37? Like,
I don't even 35. I'll say 35-7.
yeah. And then Georgia Kentucky. Now Kentucky last year
Kentucky scared me last year.
scared us. They
Yeah.
did scare us a little bit.
Kentucky scared me last
Like
year.
I think I got it. Let's see. Georgia Kentucky last year. Yeah, Georgia Kentucky. Well, okay, the final was 51-13.
They were undefeated and they had just whipped Florida's ass.
That's true. And that's the thing. And it's 51-13, but that was majority in the second half.
Yes.
Like
yeah.
Kentucky came out, scored first, which that was the theme last year. All the other teams scored first in Georgia, and then we steamrolled them.
Yeah.
But it's like we had that
to
fear.
get that rhythm. Yeah.
And I mean, like, yeah. So, but I
And
mean, this year,
we're playing at Kentucky, correct?
Correct.
Okay.
yeah, Georgia at Kentucky.
That's our first away game.
Yes.
I'm gonna say it's gonna be closer than last year. Well, you know what? No, Will Levis is not coming back for Kentucky.
Correct.
Brock Vandegrift is playing.
Mm-hmm.
Brock Vandegrift played for us.
Well, he's on the roster, but he didn't like.
Well, he never started a game, but he got put in like in
he
a
knows
blowout.
the playbook.
He knows it. Well, he knows the old playbook. I think we definitely win. I'm saying that one's going to be a closer game. I'm going to say, I don't know how our offensive line is. Our offensive line is going to be pretty good.
They're pretty big, but skill wise,
I'm going
it's to
say.
be determined.
Let me think here. Ooh, shit. 35-21 Georgia.
Okay, I can
I
respect
think. I
that.
think. Yeah.
I think it's going to be a hard fought battle in the beginning, and then
Mhm.
it's really going to because that's kind of the theme UGA's had, where it's like they kind of like you said, close the playbook up, try to run as much as they can, and then if it's not working, if they have issues, if things just aren't, if the run game doesn't open up, because we've traditionally always had great runners, and then in the last like 6 years we've had a really good receiving core,
Mhm.
so we have the dual threat of run and catch.
Yep.
Like I think definitely that's a fair prediction. Now the next game
Is it Alabama?
is Alabama at Alabama.
Okay. All right. We win this game.
Okay. I mean, hopefully, like as a fellow
Nick
UGA
Saban.
fan,
Nick Saban is no longer head coach.
yeah,
He will be at that game, and he will be in their new head coach's ear.
he will be in. If nothing else, he'll be in the booth.
I'm going to say it's going to be within a touchdown. I say that we win by 7, and I think it's going to be a low-scoring game. 21-14, Georgia.
I'll go even further to say I think we win by a field goal.
A field goal?
I think we're going to win by 3 points.
I do wholeheartedly believe that we will win that game.
Yeah.
I think it'll be extremely close.
Now the hard part is what happens after that is we go from Alabama to Auburn. Auburn's coming back. We go Alabama. We play at Alabama in Tuscaloosa, and then we
That's
come
what I
back.
actually think is the trap game.
The trap game you think is Auburn?
Yeah, I think the trap
Auburn.
game's Auburn. I think we prep so much for Bama that when Auburn comes up,
Or-
we,
yeah.
we actually it's
Overlook
the trap
'em.
and that yeah we overlooked them because
Because Texas is after that, is it not?
Mississippi State.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
Because I think we prepped so much for Kentucky and then Bama that we basically overlook Auburn and then we might drop that game.
Which sucks because of the way the college football playoffs is. You can't drop more than one game.
Not anymore.
Well,
It's a
oh,
12-team
that's
playoff.
True, true.
Well, is it still like the old system where it'd actually be better to drop it to Bama than it would be to Auburn? As far as in the actual
You want to drop
rankings?
if you're going to drop a game, you definitely do. Even with the 12 team playoff, you do definitely want to drop it to a higher ranked player and lose close to a high ranked player than get
away.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because I mean the college selection committee is still garbage.
If Auburn comes into Athens and beats us by 21 points, that's really we're not going to drop out of the top 12.
No, I don't
Definitely
think
not.
so.
But we'll drop to like 6 or 7, I'd imagine.
It's
I
still
also don't think the loss would be that bad, but I think we could drop by a touchdown, maybe
Yeah.
a touchdown and a field goal, and like that
I
would be
agree,
the trap
yeah.
game. I feel
Yeah,
like.
I respect
that's
that.
a good opinion. And
I think we'll win.
yeah,
I hate Auburn. They always play us really hard. I think that'll also be a pretty close game, but I still think we win by 2 touchdowns.
okay.
I'm gonna say I think it'll be a low-scoring game again. Now, for that one, I'm gonna say 28-14 Georgia.
I was going to say something closer to 28, maybe like 28, like 21. Like just,
28-21. Yeah, that's a fair. Auburn always plays us hard. I would not be surprised if we win by a singular touchdown or a singular field goal. That would not surprise me.
I definitely think because we got the same quarterback coming back.
Carson Beck.
Carson Beck.
He's
We've
leading
lost some big
in
offensive tools.
in Vegas. Carson Beck is leading in the odds to win the Heisman this year.
So, and I mean, and he's like with the schedule. It's like the thing is, it's like looking back over it, like when people talk about, oh, you guys had an easy schedule. It's like, all right, Clemson, and then Tennessee. We get it. That's a warm up. We got Clemson, a good kickoff opponent for the opener in the Mercedes Benz. Tennessee Tech. It's like, hey, let's work out any issues that we had. I hate to see Tennessee Tech. Like, I love an underdog win, but I'd hate to see it be against us. Kentucky, because they played us so hard last year, and I think that helped them a lot in recruiting. And then having Georgia, Alabama so early, I think is going to benefit us because that's going to be a top-tier game, top talent.
That we can afford to lose.
That we can afford to lose early.
Yep.
And so then we go from that to Auburn coming to Athens. It's like I agree with you. It's going to be a tough game. I think Georgia's going to definitely pull away. Like I said,
Yeah, I think
28-21, something like that.
Well, Auburn's. Wait, we gotta go. No, you're right. Auburn's coming to us.
Auburn's
You're right.
coming to us. And then I think it's going to be a long game. I could even see some overtime just for funsies.
Yeah.
But I still
Maybe.
think we pull it out.
I could agree to the ease of schedule though.
Because that's what I'm saying.
This Auburn game is the only one in the schedule that I feel like is a trap game where you have a really good opponent, maybe even 2 good opponents
Coming
in a
to
row,
your house.
and then you're gonna have to face someone that's just middle of the table.
Because then
but
after
does show up on the day typically, like you
Yeah.
brought up.
Yep.
I mean, I've always never counted Auburn out when it's the Iron Bowl. Never count them out.
Never.
Like,
Ever.
You can't count them out because
It's
it's
the only game a year I'll pull for Auburn.
exact. I mean, 100%. But then on top of that, so we go from Auburn coming to us, then we have Mississippi State coming to us.
That'd be an easy game. We win that game by 4 touchdowns at least.
I think we're in the 30s, if not 40s.
Yeah, that's a good. That's an easy.
No
easy
shade
game.
against Mississippi State.
No, I respect. God, what was the head coach's name that passed away? Mike Leach.
Yes.
All respect it to them what he did.
Exactly.
I like to pull for Mississippi State when they're not playing us.
And there's nothing wrong with that. But then it's like, but we
those
go.
damn cowbells though, dude.
Yeah.
Ugh.
I mean, I say that as like with my high school, we adopted the cowbells. So it's like,
Yeah.
It's like, okay, yes, okay, stop, okay.
Please, yeah,
We're on offense now. Shut up.
yeah, exactly.
I can't hear the guy clapping his hands to snap the
Yeah.
ball. But then it is one of those things. So we go from Alabama to not a hard transition to drive to Alabama from Georgia, not a crazy
No, it's not,
travel.
no.
And then we got Auburn at home, Mississippi State at home, and then we go to a little bit further of a travel to Texas.
You want to hear my take on this?
Well, dude, Texas, when they beat us like 3 years ago, I did not see that coming.
You know what I see coming, and I hate to say this. Texas beats us.
Really?
I'm saying Texas beats us.
I mean, Texas has been on the come up.
I think Texas is going to beat us. Not bad, but it's the first time playing them in a long time. They got a new head coach. No, well, they're not a new head coach, but they've had a new head coach since we played them last.
Yeah.
They're on fire and they've got something to prove because they just jumped in the SEC. We're going into there.
Agreed.
They made the playoffs last year. They didn't do anything, but they made the playoffs.
Yeah.
I say we lose that game, but not by much. I say we lose it by 10 points.
Okay. Something that's like, hey,
Yeah.
it was within our grasp. We let it
yeah.
slip.
And I think that's the only loss we take in the regular season.
And and you make a good point with them being in the SEC this year. Like, they got something to prove.
Yep.
And then on top of that, what's really dangerous schedule-wise is then we go from that to Florida.
Florida won't be a problem.
I
What?
like
yeah,
no,
they-
no,
Yeah.
no, no,
they-
I
they
know,
haven't been a
I know.
problem. They're not gonna be a problem.
I know, but I'm just saying. I think that's where if something like with a team that's motivated and also being worn down from Auburn,
They had a 5-7 record last year.
yeah.
So you're right. They probably got a little fire under their ass.
So are you thinking that Florida's the trap game instead of Auburn?
No, I think Auburn's going to be the first trap game. I think I'm scared of what ends up happening in some unfortunate scenarios is where you have a really top tier of talent where you're traveling around you go from Alabama back to home for 2 games and then you travel to Texas, and then if Texas comes and just absolutely like gives it all, even if we lose, if we have some injuries, because then we're more than halfway through the season, injuries are just a part of the game.
Yep.
What I'm worried about is when we come and play Florida is that we might be a little worn down from those last 3 games, possibly injured, maybe have some great recruits and other people that are in there as a back. I think we have depth when you look at Georgia's roster. It's just once we get to this deep in the season, something's going to come up. Like same thing with Brock Bowers last season.
Yeah.
Like he played injured a lot, and that's a part of the game. I just think with everything that we've gone through with having pretty good competition for the most part so early, if we don't have injuries, that Texas game could be the breaking point for some players, and then leaves us vulnerable for Florida.
So my prediction,
Even though they're unranked, I understand that.
so my prediction for that is we lose against Texas. As much as I hate to say that, I think we lose to Texas, and then we go and play Florida, and then we just beat the shit out of them because we
hopefully.
come off of a loss, and we're like, no, this. What?
I
Had to do it.
just extra agreeing.
Yeah. I think we take a loss at Texas, and then I think we just mop the floor with Florida, and I think we win by a large margin. Do you want me to throw out a score?
You can if you have a feeling.
35-3.
Ooh,
Yeah.
feeling it like that big of a
Yeah,
blowout?
I think so. If my prediction is now, if we beat Texas, it's close. If we beat Texas, I feel like not close. If we beat Texas, we beat Florida by 2 touchdowns. If we lose to Texas, we beat the shit out of them, and
Yeah.
we beat them by 32 points.
Because the other thing that we have going for us, looking at the schedule, is like coming back from Texas and then going to Florida. That game's already like they're working on that game strategy right now. There's a group of people at UGA already game planning for Florida,
Yeah.
watching everything that they're doing. Now after that we got Old Miss. Now
That's
Old Miss
that's
is
another tough game.
that's a tough one because they have not been like able to necessarily break through that like playoff barrier, and like now that they know like there's other competition. I mean, obviously they got their own schedule and stuff. I think Old Miss will be another like close call. I think that's going to be like a one touchdown game.
Here's a
Really, we blew them out of the water last season.
Last
did
season,
we? Yeah. What was
Last
the score
season,
on
it
that?
was
one?
35 point. It was 52-17.
Yeah,
Oh.
52-17 is correct. Yeah,
That's why I'm kind of wondering where it's going to be close. We
'Cause-
blew
mostly
'em out of
because
the
we're
water.
in their house. That's the
Yeah,
one
they're
thing.
in- we're in their house.
I can get that.
Yeah.
And they're on fire at the moment. Like,
Correct.
oh, what was their winning? What was their winning? They won their bowl game, I'm sure.
Yeah,
I think they did. And then,
Yeah, but what does that really mean? I mean,
That's
our
true.
Bowl
bowl
games
game
now.
was against Florida State, and
Yeah,
that was,
it's a
it
good
was like
point.
60
Well,
to 3.
it was
yeah.
63 to
Well, what, you talking
0.
about
What was
Georgia's?
it? Yeah, Georgia, Florida
Oh,
State.
Georgia, Florida State was a joke. Like it was.
I know Florida State only got 1 field goal, and Georgia put up 60 some odd points.
Yeah.
It was 60 to
63 to 3 was
Yeah.
Georgia's Orange Bowl game. So I mean, like they were talking about, are they going to break the record?
Yeah, like what's a bowl game really matter?
Yeah,
Well,
you're right.
especially in that season, like it's like, hey, like, I mean, to be like, I mean, I do feel for the Florida State fans last year when they went undefeated and were in the Orange Bowl and then got murked. Like,
But honestly, now I feel bad for them not making the playoffs. You want to get upset about that score? Blame your own team. Blame the players that opted out of that game when they did not
so
have
I'm going to the
to.
NFL. I'm going to
Yeah,
like, I'm,
that's on you.
Yeah.
And guess what? If you want to discredit that score, buddy, we had our second string in there too, and just putting up scores on your guys. So like,
yeah.
I feel for you because I do have a buddy that's a Florida State fan. He grew up in Florida,
Yeah.
and like I told him when I texted him, I said, dude, like when they got snuffed out of the playoffs, I texted him. I said, dude, I feel for you guys. Like if anyone deserved to be in the playoff, it's not necessarily us. I would let Florida State take that over us. Undefeated season. Are you
It's
kidding
like
me?
You have an undefeated season.
Yeah. You won your championship game. Like the whole reason why they got kicked out was because their quarterback Jordan something, I can't remember his name.
Yeah.
He was hurt and he wasn't playing. Doesn't matter. They went into their championship game and won. So you've got a perfect score game or game. Perfect season.
Yeah.
And you get snuffed out of the playoffs because your quarterback's hurt even though you just won your conference championship. Sorry, dude.
Rightfully mad, but
Yeah.
like, hey, man, like that's the reason they expanded the playoffs now.
Right, exactly. Alabama had a loss. Alabama had a loss. Texas had a loss. Washington was undefeated, and so was Michigan.
Yeah.
So, I mean, we had one loss, and like it should have been. It should have been Michigan at number 1,
Yeah.
Washington number 2, Florida State number 3, and did Texas win their state championship or their conference championship?
Let me double check.
I think they did. Because they ended the season with 1 loss, and it was against Oklahoma in the Red River rivalry. So it had to have been.
They would have.
Then they would have won.
Yeah.
And then Texas takes that 4th spot.
Yeah.
And then that I'm not even making an argument for Georgia being there. We lost our conference championship against an Alabama that already had 1 loss, and they played like shit all season.
Yeah.
We did not deserve to be in. I'm not saying that.
Yeah.
But
I think that's the thing that irks me about like being someone that's lived through when the bowl games used to matter, because the bowl games were the expanded playoffs.
Yeah.
Like that was the best part about the bowl games, and Nick Saban and a bunch of other college coaches made a big hullabaloo about the playoffs. They're like, guys, the cool thing about the playoffs or the bowl games is the fact that it is like a playoff system. Like you got teams that are coming from all over to the different conferences to play other teams that they would never meet,
Bowl season's my favorite time of the year
and then
because
now it's just garbage.
yeah, I mean
Like
you're
no one cares.
Well, it's
People
because
opt out.
they should all play into a bigger bowl.
Well, and
Yeah.
that's the Orange Bowl, the
See, but
like the
like,
Rose Bowl.
But that's where all these bowls should be in their separate divisions, and then you take the top 1 to 2 and send them all into an actual
that's a cool thing.
like
I never
pro,
thought about
like,
that.
Yeah.
it's not pro because it's still in the collegiate system.
Yeah.
But a bowl that's going to include the top 2 teams of every single division.
That's a
out
cool
of the
way
4
of looking at
divisions,
that.
And then you do.
And that's kind
I
of
mean,
what
if you want
the
to go
premise
all the way
was.
in my idea, you would do a double elimination, so you can actually properly pick.
The problem comes in when you start doing that, and even like with the argument about expanding the playoffs, is that like well you also got to remember these are college students, so they have academic obligations.
Well, it's actually a physical sport too.
Well, that too. But on top of that, it's just like I agree with you. Like, and that's what the bowl games used to kind of represent. Like, you'd have people from conferences playing other conference championships. So it's like you look at, oh wow, like this conference got to play this other conference championship, and then that's how like the Pac-12 and the Big Ten,
Yeah,
like all these other conferences when they show up to a bowl game and get swept, like it's like that's why we all make jokes about your conference, and then before the playoffs came in, when you had a team that actually broke through a couple games to actually get to the BCS championship game, it's like, wow, they went through a lot to get here.
yeah.
I mean, I hate to say it, but like that when Georgia played for their first national title against Texas Christian University, TCU,
Mm-hmm. That's their second one.
or second one, sorry, yeah. It's like I love the Cinderella story of Texas, like Christian University,
Yeah.
but you guys had no business.
Yeah,
No
well,
business
you
being
know
in
what? No, I disagree with that.
Okay.
The only reason why I say I disagree with that was because they won their playoff game. They beat Michigan. That's huge.
For them.
And for them, yeah, and which that just shows the that year how far ahead Georgia was, and like
That year
we
they
had
were unstoppable.
unstoppable. Yeah,
Yeah. Also, the point of all these bowls would be that it's like it's not gonna work out the first time, but there's gonna be those few bowls that you have that the underdog is going to win, and it's gonna
Mhm.
be that miraculous story or so on.
And that's what people
And-
love.
I mean, part of the underdog mentality going in is that he's just at that bowl just to get the extra coverage, the extra
Mhm.
sponsors for next season,
bring that trophy
extra
home.
publicity, like whatever else. But if he wins it, that's even grander.
Yeah.
But,
Yeah.
like they're just happy to be there if they're the underdog.
I agree. Yeah, I 100%. Yeah, I mean, yeah, absolutely. I'm very excited for like. I always love bowl season. I know it's kind of diminished recently just because of opt outs and all that stuff, but
Well, because
it's
I'm
still
looking
fun
at
to watch.
like FCS football teams. There's 11 different conferences: ACC, Big 12, Big 10, CUSA, Independent, MAC. Okay, so yeah, there's some of them that are kind of garbage. Sun Belt Conference, packed, Independent, MAC, like all those ones that
Some of them are really small.
Yeah, I mean they're still
Extremely
D1.
tiny.
They're D1 schools by the amount of like students that they have there and their size, but it's
Mhm.
like they're their own conference.
Yeah.
So it's like, I mean, if you
like Bowling Green goes 12-0, they're not making the playoffs.
yeah, it's like
yeah.
it's like
Yeah,
you
but
guys.
if they did send one team up into a bowl.
Well, and
Yeah,
here's
every once in a
exactly.
while,
And it happens. It happens a lot.
Yeah.
Where like,
because here's my thing.
do you remember when UCF went 12-0 and then they played? Who did they play? They played God, I cannot remember. They played someone in a bowl game, like a big SEC school in a bowl game, and they won. Fact check me on that. I don't remember.
It was
That was a
just-
couple years ago.
Okay.
But UCF went complete. They went like 14-0 because they played their conference championship one. They went to a bowl game and won. They were completely undefeated, and they didn't make the playoffs. But they went in and beat an SEC school. And I don't remember who it was. I want to say it might have been Florida. I can't remember.
Yeah, do you have a year?
Was it Florida?
UFC Florida 29-17 of 2021.
Yeah, and they like claimed to be the national championships or the national champions, and like,
Yeah, their most recent victory in the 2021 Gasparilla Bowl.
yep, they went in and
Well, my thing is what I'm saying is since we have a 12-team playoff right now, is like if we have 11 conferences, like basically consolidate that to the champions of all the conferences, like kind of like what you were saying, Seabass. If you have, even if it's like 8, if you
Yeah.
know, because like I said, some of those conferences, I'm like, hey, I'm not saying you're not great. I'm not saying you don't have a great season. But I'm saying maybe if we're doing 6-on-6, like roster 12 teams like coming in and like playing down towards it, if we already have 11, like do it to 8 and do a 4-on-4 playoff or every conference championship. Like if you can get a winning season in your conference, be the conference champion. All the conference champions play, and that's kind of what I thought the bowl games were supposed to be.
I think
Yeah.
that's what they originally were.
Yeah. But I
But-
mean, that would be kind of a cool thing if it changed to where it's like, all right, well, the only way to get into the playoffs is to be the conference champion, which then that makes the in conference games so much more important. And then like it's hard to to really like pin it down, but I mean, there's no perfect way to do it. But I think if you if you have that many conferences and we're already doing a 12-team playoff, it's like let's just like, hey man, let's make it to where it's like that, because then you could have a Bowling Green that just maybe has the sauce one year,
Yeah.
but they don't get the chance, or they, if you have a Kent State or just
Yeah.
some out of nowhere dark horse football team that's just a bunch of hopeful underdog.
Yeah,
But it's just like
yeah.
I'd love that, and I mean, because
I mean, who's not going to be hyped to see the top 10 first place teams from all these different divisions go into a bowl with each other?
I would love that.
because
I
my
mean,
problem is that like when you think about some
And
of
just, if you're in a higher school, maybe you already skip one of the brackets or something.
Yeah.
like that.
true, yeah, or you get seated higher or
Yeah,
something like that.
Exactly.
But I mean, like you think about like when you have like the coaches, like the people that do the rankings,
coaches poll, the
Yeah,
AP
the-
poll.
like all those polls that like give people rankings and stuff.
Mhm.
Tell me it's not a little bit influenced by like, hey, if we have Alabama has the most people watching. If we have Alabama versus anybody, we'll have a much bigger like turnout in the sense of like viewership, because I do feel like that has played a role in how the rankings and other colleges and stuff.
Yeah,
like, it's like
it plays a role in the playoff system because there was the only reason why Alabama made it into the playoffs last year because they were not leaving out an SEC school.
yeah,
I guarantee you, if Alabama had another loss, they still would have made it in
Magically.
because they would not have had an SEC school not make the playoffs because the SEC outside of Ohio State and Michigan, the SEC just has more viewers.
like I mean,
Yeah.
you could maybe make the argument for a Texas like team, just because the state size.
Texas and Oklahoma are two
yeah.
other things, and you can make an
Arguably.
argument for Oregon, but that's really it. I mean,
Yeah.
there's the SEC, Michigan, Ohio State, Texas, Oklahoma. Texas and Oklahoma are now in the SEC anyway, so you can't really count them. But let's just say prior to this
Prior to
season,
that, yeah.
it's those four schools: Oregon, and just because they were undefeated, Washington. Name another school.
I feel you.
Yeah, I mean,
Because I mean, there's no.
Clemson, maybe, but who the fuck are they playing? They're not
Yeah.
playing anybody all season. They're playing Georgia Tech. They're playing North Carolina. Now, I'm not going to shit on North Carolina all that much because the Tar Heels did pretty damn good last season. I
They-
think
You getting? Yeah, I mean,
North Carolina, the
Tar
you know,
Heels. Yeah,
mhm.
yeah. I mean, they usually turn back into a basketball school after we play them. But,
Yeah, you're right.
But
You're right.
No.
Yeah, you're right.
I'm sorry, that was low. I should have done that.
Honestly, I thought it was only a few years ago that they got a win off of us, and that probably kept them going for a little bit.
I mean,
It had been a while ago.
Yeah.
I don't remember.
I'm sure it's been like 4 or 5 years now.
It's
but
probably been longer.
Last
than
time
that.
North Carolina
I thought
beat
it was
UGA
like 2020,
football.
maybe 2019. Was it longer than that?
I don't know.
Time does fly sometimes. So
University of North Carolina beat UGA football. I still hate when people are like, "Oh, you mean American football?" I'm like, "No, you mean the Lord's ball." Yes.
That's a Midwest emo reference. Sorry, guys.
Sorry, it's okay.
I'm just gonna go. Sorry, you gotta. Damn it! I'm sorry.
I'm gonna
Now that I
unalive.
do need to cut it.
I'm sorry. Cut right there. Timestamp that. My bad.
Let's see,
I say that way too much. I need to stop that.
bro.
I bet I said that 8 times on the golf course a couple weeks ago.
It's like I'm just gonna go home and just take a permanent nap,
Yeah.
or do my favorite way to say that is like I'm just gonna go take a toaster bath,
Yeah, toaster bath. I've heard that a lot. Yeah,
bro.
the forever sleep.
Just want to take a forever nap. It's like,
I'm
oh,
just-
okay.
If it's not there, don't take forever going for it.
Yeah.
I thought it was something recent that
It's
I
not-
thought they did pull one off.
I don't
on
think
us.
we've played them in a really long time. Not one that I can remember. That being said, I'm not like a book of. I don't remember every.
I didn't
game.
follow the system too closely, but I
Yeah.
just remember I thought it came up because we weren't supposed to lose it. Was the whole thing?
Are you thinking of South Carolina?
Maybe?
South Carolina
I
came
might
into
have.
to Athens in 2019
And
and
they
beat us.
whooped.
Maybe that's what I'm thinking.
That-
of. I
yeah.
just know there was something that it was like
We were in
not-
playoff contention,
like-
and they were they were either unranked or they were ranked like in the 20s, and they came in and beat us. And oh god, that was heart wrenching.
Oh, dude, and that was the year they had wasn't that the year they had that crazy defensive tackle? The guy that had that mega hit where he popped that guy's helmet off in 2019. Was that 2019? It was like,
No, I don't think so. You're thinking of the time. I've seen that clip a bunch of times. I
oh,
don't remember
love
who
it.
they were playing.
Love it.
Where they're like, the ref called it a first down, even though he was like 6 inches away
Yeah,
from the. I mean, it was a like the ball was that far away from the first down line, and he called it a first down. And then
Oh,
the very next play, he just knocks his head off and then fumbles
Yeah.
the ball. Yeah. I don't know if that was the same year or not. It might have been. Was that Shane Beamer?
I'm looking it up right now. I know if I just type in USC football highlights.
It's gonna pull up. It's gonna pull up Southern California if you do that.
Oh, that's right. Oh, yeah, but I mean, anyway, but it's just like with the whole playoff system, I almost feel like it's going to like just start creeping deeper and deeper into the regular season to get people to validate like their place in the playoffs, which
Yeah.
I'm not against because of the scheduling of how you have to balance out. Hey, there's time to play football and there's studies, and you still have to go to college for going to college, unless we're just going to say they're there to play football only, and then they're
I mean,
employees
they're
of
already
the
being paid for it. So
exactly.
They're being paid for it, and you mean to tell me Stetson Bennett shows up and fails an English paper, and they're gonna not let him start? No way.
Yeah,
he's
like
also making so much money. What does he care about the degree anymore?
it doesn't
anyway?
matter.
I mean, yeah, I mean, if you get paid like $2 million a year to play football at a top tier school,
Yeah.
and even if you're not like, because Stetson Bennett, like, he's not starting anywhere. He went to Los Angeles Rams.
He's been tearing it up in those preseason games, though. He threw a couple picks that first game,
Yeah,
but that second game he tore it up.
and we'd love for him to always, we want him to have success. We want
Oh,
him
of
to do
course,
great.
I'm rooting for him.
But it's just like, at the end of the day, it's like, bro, he's not gonna like if you hung it up, he's not gonna be hurting.
No, he's got a job forever at UGA as like on the coaching staff.
Yeah.
Like,
And that's what I kind of think is like what's interesting about it. Like, I mean, besides our predictions, I think you and me both made some very solid predictions.
do you want to finish the schedule really
I
quick?
was about to say you got 3 more games. Go
Yeah,
ahead.
yeah, so-
we can blast through them. I know we're kind of getting close to
Oh,
time.
no, I mean,
You got
I ain't got no job.
Ole Miss, Tennessee, Georgia Tech.
Ole Miss, I think we beat them by 2 touchdowns. I think it'll be a lot closer than last year. But hear me out here. I think it's more probable that we lose to Ole Miss than we do Alabama.
I can agree with you on that. I definitely am interested to see from our game
Lane
last year.
Lane Kiffin is probably outside of Kirby Smart my favorite coach. He's so funny. His offensive line is just he's got a great offensive mind.
Yes.
In a perfect world, he has a terrible losing streak at Ole Miss and he becomes our offensive head coach. I would love that.
Yeah.
I've been preaching this for years since before he took the Ole Miss job.
Yeah.
And I don't know. I love Lane Kiffin. And I pull for Ole Miss whenever they're not playing with us.
Yeah.
I don't know. I do.
Tennessee.
Tennessee's got to come to Athens. I think we whoop them. I think it's gonna be we win by 3 touchdowns.
I can agree with that. I got this weird love for Tennessee.
I do too, and I do too because
I hate their color orange. I hate the orange, but it's
Mhm.
like something about them.
I like them too. When they're not playing us or when
I'd
wanna
like for
see-
them to win.
I want to
I
see
like
one
fo-
of their teams do well.
I-
Whether
I-
in college or pro. I just want to see one of their teams.
Tennessee
do well.
Titans ain't doing shit.
Yeah, I just want to see
Yeah.
one of them.
I like Tennessee a lot. I know that's sacrilege as a Georgia fan to say, and whenever we play them, I want to beat the shit out of them.
Fair.
It's
But-
more forgiven than a Bama or Florida fan.
Exactly.
Exactly.
More forgiving.
Well put.
You don't see any bandwagon Tennessee fans, and like I've got a couple, acquaintances that are Tennessee fans. I
Yeah.
respect it. I like,
I've
but
gotten, yeah, I
my
mean,
grandpa played for Tennessee when he went to college, so I've got a little bit of ties to him,
all right.
and I would never pull for him. The only times I don't pull for him is if they're playing us or if it helps us out if they lose to a different team. Like, say we've got a loss and Tennessee's undefeated, I'm pulling against them.
Yeah, no, and that's fair, and then they do
Yeah.
the same for us. There's no harm, no
No,
foul
no
in
harm,
that.
no foul.
Obviously, UMass steamroll.
Steamroll.
Now, the
I don't
one
even-
thing, because of the last time we played Georgia Tech last year, I, hot take, would kind of like to see another really close game with Georgia Tech. I I I I,
It's a rivalry game.
I would
You just
love
wanna
to see
a
it.
bunch of bumblebees.
No, I'm just, well. First off, they're the Hornets.
Whatever.
We were making it. Fuck Georgia Tech. No, I'm just kidding. I don't really care.
I would love to see an
Satan's
in.
insect.
I just would love to see a revival of actually like an in-state rivalry.
Me too. I mean, I feel like the only two.
And that's because of Rudy. When I watched Rudy, and they were like, Georgia Tech's the leading team of the like the conference and stuff. Because like if you've seen Rudy, it's like they're making a big deal about Georgia Tech being the best team in the league. And
yeah.
I'm like, that'd be so funny because like when I first saw Rudy, I was like, Georgia Tech's a joke. Like we all work for Georgia Tech grads, but like the football team's
Yeah.
a joke. And then I just when they came so close to actually having a close game last year.
Yeah, and it was like it was like they had no right to be like they had a losing. Well, I don't know. I didn't keep up with Georgia Tech all
Yeah.
much last year.
They had no business having the game being that close.
No, and that's just a rivalry game. I mean, look at Alabama Auburn last year. I mean, it came down to one play,
Yeah.
and like when if it was any other team, and that it shouldn't have even been close. But that's a rivalry game. I don't think it'll be that close this year.
I
They're
don't
coming to
either.
Athens.
In all honesty, it's not gonna be close.
I think it'll. I mean, we win by a large margin. I don't even know.
I mean, it would.
I mean, it is the last game, so there's potential
there is,
injuries or anything else that can happen.
and that's
throughout
kind of
the
why I
season.
hate to like use that as a crutch, but I do feel like that's we took it a little easy on that game because we had it in the bag. We knew we could beat them and immediately throw our starters back in and have like a lot of like progression. But they fought hard and I respected them.
So,
Yeah.
so you think we might get a little lackadaisical?
I think
When it
we just
comes to
might.
it-
I think we might give them a little.
That was the story of our entire schedule last season.
Dude. I was telling.
that's why
just
we always gave up
sleepwalked
in the
through
first
our
half.
entire schedule.
I hated how it was almost the trope was like, all right, they're going to score first on us, and then we're going to like get it together, just steamroll them. And I was like,
Yep.
what? As like when I played defense in like high school, I was like, like the goal was goose egg every game.
yeah,
Anything under that, you're a failure.
it's 0-0 every time.
So, but I mean that I just like I said, I would love
Which
to
is
see.
a little weird. I have to admit,
Yeah, no, I'm not saying it's not weird.
because it is based almost entirely on the college system, where scoring more points puts you higher in the ranking instead of just winning the game.
Yeah.
Also very true. But I just a part of me is always lived in Georgia, like this is my home state. I would
Mhm.
love to see just a great resurgence of the in-state rivalry. Like
Yeah, me
that's
too.
that's really
Okay.
all it's wrapped up in.
I understand that. I can respect that.
Like it'd be more fun, just the same way, because I feel like the Iron Bowl gets much more of a pop just across the country
Yeah.
Than like Georgia Tech. It's
Of
like,
course,
you're gonna
of
go beat up
course.
the nerds in Atlanta.
There's truly only three. Well, I don't know. You can't really call those in-state rivalries. There's truly only three really good rivalries off the top of my head that are like always going to be close. That's always Michigan, Ohio State. That's number one.
Fair.
Number
Longest
two,
standing, yeah.
number two is Texas, Oklahoma, and number three is Alabama, Auburn. And Auburn's never as good as Alabama, but it's always close. I mean,
And that's the fun
Alabama
about it.
always wins, but still, it's always close.
And whenever they don't, it makes it
It's-
so much better.
The kick six, dude.
I mean, dude, that's why you never give
I
up.
know. Yeah, exactly.
You never give up
Never give up.
because of that. But yeah, man,
I've got a quick lightning round question for you,
okay, hit me.
just for fun, and we'll make it really fast. This could open up a whole 30-minute conversation.
That's
We'll make
fine.
it fast.
I
We're-
got nowhere to go, buddy.
me either.
I ain't got a
Well,
fiance.
I do have a fiance I need to go home to, but we'll make it fast. All right. Who's the two teams in the SEC championship?
I mean, gut reaction is going to be Georgia, Alabama, but I mean, so much could happen. I would love to see a Georgia Texas.
That's my vote. I think it's Georgia, Texas.
So I mean,
For
I
sure.
think it's possible, especially with them being possibly having some cabal with the SEC wanting to give some love to a new
Hmm.
entry.
Yep.
Just giving some more legitimacy. I could see
Hmm.
Texas slipping their way in. I'm not saying that they're gonna do anything on their part dirty. I'm just saying
Yep.
it's possible that maybe the refs are gonna be told by the commissioner or the hey, let's try
Yep.
to help them out. Let's like they're here, they're the new guys.
Hmm.
Let's show them a little bit of like courtesy.
Yep.
But I think it's either going to be Georgia, Texas, or it's going to be Georgia, Alabama again.
I think we lose to Texas on a regular season. We meet them again in the SEC championship. We win.
Ooh, I love those.
Okay. My next question, and you don't have to necessarily expand. If you want to expand, you can. We don't have to do all 12, but at the end of the regular season, after our after all the conference title games, what is your top 6 teams in order 1 to 6 at the end of the season?
At the end of the season, I definitely, of course, we got Georgia, Alabama up there in the 1-2 spot. I feel like they're going to be fighting for it again. And then because like I believe in Texas getting not preferential treatment, but just having a new, beginner's luck in the SEC, I think they're going to be in there. I would love to see an Ole Miss or a Tennessee slip in there at like the 4 or 5 position. And then I think maybe something like Ohio State's going to be.
I was about to say they're going to be
some
up
of the
there.
Midwest teams are going to be
Ohio
there.
State probably has the best team outside of maybe Georgia
Yeah,
this season.
I think they have the best like program. I do also think Washington coming off of the win
Yeah, but they don't have a lot of returning players, and they just lost their head coach.
that it does. They have a lot stacked against them, but the expectation there is maybe something that might drive them to be in the bottom half of that.
Could be.
Other
That's
than,
a possibility.
yeah. I mean that's hopeful thinking. I'm not denying.
Yeah,
that.
no, of course.
And
yeah.
then other than that, I mean, it's
There's
kind of.
one team you haven't mentioned that's going to be a force to be reckoned with this season.
You think it's going to be another South Carolina?
Nope.
Hmm?
It's going to be Oregon.
Oh,
Oregon is going to be a force. They will make the playoffs, and I think
I just always forget about Oregon.
They
do
got-
kinda just oddly show up.
Yeah,
this
the
dude.
Ducks are
They've got Dan Lanning, our old defensive coordinator.
What about didn't was it a I don't well not-
It's
Colorado.
almost like they don't choke.
Oh,
It's
I don't.
like when they get in those.
They
big
don't
games,
choke
it
unless they're
feels
playing
like-
Washington for
Yeah.
some reason. They can't beat them.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
if they
It's like-
beat Washington last year, they would have made the playoffs.
Yeah,
But
they choke on direct rivals, but the rest of the games they show up
they
just fine.
murder them.
Well,
Yeah.
and I mean, Oregon's definitely it's got one of those long term like they've had a great like stint over the last like 10 years. Like Oregon's had like a lot of great games, a lot of great coaches, and then on top of that, I mean, the other one I was thinking of that just popped in my head was maybe not this year but next year if things go well, Nebraska
I always, yeah.
or not Nebraska, Arkansas. Sorry, I meant because Arkansas just got they got one of our old their head coach was one of our offensive coaches, wasn't it?
I don't think so.
Maybe it was Alabama or something.
No,
somebody that went to-
I don't think Sam Pittman's still at Arkansas. I think
Yeah, maybe that's what I'm thinking of. Is like they got him from a couple years ago, right?
he's been Arkansas's head coach for a while.
There was somebody that went
Who
from
you thinking
Georgia.
of?
There was somebody that left Georgia after we won their first national title that went to head coach somewhere. I can't.
Dan Lanning to Oregon.
That's what it. Oh, so yeah, that's time. Okay,
Yeah.
so that's what I was thinking.
Yeah. No, yeah. We lost Dan Lanning our first national championship to Oregon, and then we lost who was our offensive coordinator, and then we went to the Ravens. What's his name?
Oh. I know.
It starts with an M. God, why can I not remember his name all of a sudden? Not Munson. No, not Munson. What am I thinking? Crap.
It's okay. We got technology.
Yeah, look it up. People are gonna crucify me.
It's like, how did you not remember this guy? Let's see. Former UGA coach decided to make the switch back to NFL. Give me a name. Todd Monken.
Todd Monken.
There we go.
That's what. Yeah.
Yeah.
I was thinking Larry Munson. He was our old. He was. You know who Larry Munson is. I don't know why.
Yeah, but I mean that's kind of the weird part about like every time like it's so hard to make a dynasty is because when you win a national title, then everyone's like, hey man, you obviously know how to get to the dance.
Yep.
We want you to take our girl to the dance.
Yep.
Like let's get there. And it's,
Yeah. It sucks.
Yeah, but
Well,
I mean,
eventually you lose the players too. That's why dynasties are so hard to
Yeah.
actually establish, because once those players cycle out.
I remember seeing a clip of Nick Saban.
That's when you just turn on your recruiting and then
Yeah.
just like
Well, Nick
that's
Sa-
what's cool. You get once you get the ball moving, you now have recruiting power, and you say
Yeah.
we've got 2 national titles. You want to come win?
Don't you wanna come win a
wanna
national
come
title?
Play with it. That's why Alabama was on top for so
Yeah.
long. Once you got that dynasty rolling,
yeah.
I mean, it gives you more power to
Recruiting.
bring in to recruit those players.
It's
But
like-
at the same time,
Because you're going to be on national television playing versus like just like an ESPN Ocho or like something like that.
yeah.
I mean, you're still playing a small guessing game though.
Pac-12, the late night Pac-12 games.
Oh,
those are
God.
the best.
I mean, dude, they're fun to stay up and watch. But what's kind of like crazy about it is that once you do have those successes, and then like keeping the coaching staff and the players are a whole other thing. And to your point, I remember seeing a clip of Nick Saban talking about. I was like, oh man, I hate that. Like when sometimes like I got to play these other games, and those are 2 or 3 weeks of recruiting I got to take off to like win.
Yeah.
These, and I'm like, I see what you did there.
Yeah.
You're complaining about your success.
Yeah.
Shut up. Like-
It's the complaining that I have to keep playing in all these playoffs.
And I need to go be
everyone
recruiting.
Everyone else gets to go recruit, but I have to play 3-4 more weeks of playoffs.
Yeah.
While
Well,
everyone else is already out
And
there.
I mean, having that ability to win and like have like I remember like when we had a bunch of really great players the year I won state, like one-handedly won state. Let me just rephrase. I was a rotational player. I was not starting by any means.
no one could stop Jared. He had 99 dudes on him. Didn't
Yeah.
stop him. He
Really?
was just
We were,
stiff
I had
armed.
99 dudes on me. We weren't even playing football. But
Yeah.
Whoa!
I'm kidding. But
Everyone dropped a load.
Oh shit! Were you the biscuit?
No, I was the buns.
Were you the business?
Oh, brother.
But I remember what was crazy is like coaches it would bring players and that had like been on the teams that won those national titles or they won like the conference championships, and just the most ridiculous rings, like the hardware that people would flash around there. I want to say it was what's the Bobcat? Is it no University of North Carolina? They're Tigers, right? No,
That's Tar Heels.
Tar Heels. So there was like a cat or something.
Is that a mythical animal?
It's a mythical zoan.
I thought the Tar Heels were something to do with.
Yeah, they're goats.
No, I thought
Well,
Tar Heels had something to do with Native Americans.
No, the Tar Heels was because they used to farm tobacco in North Carolina, and everyone would have tar on their heels from working in the fields.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, I mean,
I didn't know.
it's a lit.
Oh, I didn't know
I
that.
didn't know.
You learned something.
Maybe.
Like,
Oh no,
we learned
I
here at the
remembered-
Strange
I
Herd
remember
podcast.
now. It was a guy.
Or did you make that shit up?
You'll never know.
Most likely.
It's like this is just enough lies to make it string together. It was a guy.
You said it with so much confidence in your voice that I have no choice but to believe you.
As long
Well,
as it's
yeah.
strange, it's good.
Yeah,
it's
that's
strange
true.
enough. But I remember a guy from Georgia State because they were the Panthers. Georgia State
Yes.
Panthers. Like they had won some kind of bowl game or something, and they gave like some ring out, and I just remember it was the most gaudy thing I ever saw because it spun. It had a panther on the ring that spun.
Oh yeah.
And he's like, "You want to get one of these like Tostitos bowl rings?"
Yeah,
He's
dude.
trying to recruit people in high school with that. But to say that, I also remember the best the best athletic career I can say that I've ever like personally witnessed is my friend Nick Moore, Josh's brother. He won state senior year. Goes to play professional baseball with the Red Sox. Then gets
Straight out of high school?
yeah.
What?
This guy was a monster.
Yeah.
He's also, unfortunately, incredibly good looking and a really great person.
Uh-huh.
And I've had the honor of getting to hang out with him a few times. But he's a super great guy. But it's just funny when we talk about his like athletic career. He went from state like championship in high school senior year, football. Then he goes and plays for the Red Sox. Gets cut from the Red Sox, which happens.
Yeah.
Walks on at UGA. Then gets a SEC conference championship ring.
So, sorry.
Yeah.
You can go and play professional baseball and then go play a college sport?
Yeah.
Yeah, because you didn't have any eligibility years wasted.
Wow.
That's why I said earlier, when you can play professional ball and never play a single inning of college
That is
ball.
legitimately
Well, that's the funny thing about with
crazy.
Tom Brady in
You don't even need
Michigan.
to play high school ball. You
He-
could literally just walk on the field. You could have never touched a baseball in your life, but if you are good enough
Yeah.
and you meet their standard, they're gonna take
If
you.
some scout sees some video or some something,
Is there an age limit?
I mean, you
it's
just
really,
have to be over 18,
yeah. But I
That's
mean,
it.
I'm gonna go
yeah.
start training for some baseball,
I
but
mean-
and then you could walk on to any professional baseball team's tryout, and they have to give you a tryout too.
Yeah.
They can't just turn you away and say where's your college or anything else. They have to give you a tryout.
Yeah.
Wow.
And I mean, and dude, and then so he gets the SEC championship ring. He's got a state ring, and then he gets drafted to the Ravens, and then like they get a conference championship as a
The the NFL.
yeah, the Baltimore Ravens. So this
Whoa.
guy's got rings and like just hardware from all these
What
different.
does he do now?
He's still on the Ravens. He's a long snapper,
Really?
genius. He's a super stud athlete, and he's a long snapper, and he's got a great family, and he's done life really well. A lot of hard work and praised him on his like,
course.
commitment. But it's just like, bro, you got it's like I got a conference championship from the SEC. I got a high school football ring. I got this.
He was
ring.
playing at Georgia when we won the SEC championship.
Yeah,
Which time? Against
with-
LSU?
with not Stetson, the guy before him,
From?
Jake Fromm.
Who do we beat for that? Auburn.
Yes.
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
just going with it, but yeah, it's just I remember we were talking about all the different rings that he's got, and he's just like, yeah, I'm like, you going to fill up the other one? Hold me with a couple Super Bowl rings.
Oh wow, that's
Which-
cool.
I mean, dude, it's just and it's crazy. Like, I mean, like
Does he
that's
live in Baltimore? Yeah, he's got to
he's
live
gotta-
in Baltimore.
I'm just like he comes and visits every now and then. I've gone to Thanksgiving with him like last year. I got to hang out and do some like just chilling with the family because Josh
Should get him on this podcast.
he is extremely busy. and
That's not. Yeah.
I
that
would
makes
love
sense.
for him if he would be so gracious. I've seen him on some other friends' podcasts and stuff, but he's
Yeah.
like he's also like in that kind of sphere where he's like friends with Mookie Betts, and it's like hey man, like I would be literally
Probably friends with Ray Lewis and.
yeah. I mean, well,
Yeah.
Ray Lewis was out by the time he got in there, but it's like
Still.
like
Yeah.
the guy. It's really cool. Like when you meet people and you play like sports and stuff, those connections that you make.
Yeah.
It's just you never know where people are gonna go. So
Yeah, like T Swift.
like T Swift. I
Yeah.
mean, like thank God Travis Kelsey made her famous, man. Like.
Yeah. Who?
Who would have
Wait a
known about
second.
Taylor Swift if she didn't marry or start dating a Super Bowl champion?
Yeah. Yeah.
It's not like it took over the whole Super Bowl in
Yeah.
its entirety.
Which I still do kind of believe that was a happy accident for the NFL because like, hey, you guys are dating. We're going to kind of use this to try to get more women to be interested in football.
Oh, it's not like our whole demographic is just elderly men now, and we're a slowly dying breed.
Yeah. Here's a whole nother topic. Well,
Yeah.
first off, before we get off
Yeah.
football, my top 5 coming out of the season:
Yes, yes.
Georgia number 1, Ohio State number 2, because I don't see them losing a game.
Okay.
Shit,
Mm-mm.
I'm gonna have to do this.
Do it.
I'm kind of with Ethan to where I think it's going to be Georgia 1. I think Texas is really going to fight for 2 or 3. Like, I think it's going to be Texas and Bama fighting for 2 or 3. And then I think Ohio State is going to go right under that.
I just don't see them losing a game this year. I think Ohio State ends the game with ends the season with a perfect schedule, like perfect season,
I don't
because
know.
they ain't losing to Michigan this year, straight
No.
up.
Yeah.
What is their schedule? I don't know what their schedule is.
It's
Is there
just a bunch
chance
of-
that they drop a game?
The only 2 teams, so no, what are they in? The Big 10? No, Big 12?
Big
No,
12.
Big 10. Big 10. What am I thinking?
Yeah.
So they've got Oregon and Washington jumping over the Big 10 this year,
Yes.
like Texas and Oklahoma. That's going to be. I see maybe Oregon beats them,
That'd be
and if
upset.
Oregon beats them, Oregon's not losing a game. Ooh, okay.
I mean,
I'm gonna say Ohio State number 1. As much as I hate to say that, Ohio State number 1, Georgia number 2, Oregon number 3, Texas number 4.
Use your feelings. Trust your gut.
I'm torn here.
yeah, I mean, I guess the only game they really can drop is going to be Oregon. It's
They're not.
They're
There's
not really
no
gonna
way they're
drop
losing to
anyone
one.
else.
I don't
Nope.
see it happening.
they there might be one.
They've got a
other one.
cakewalk schedule outside of Oregon and Michigan.
Because that's
But
always the
Mich-
argument.
That was the only one I could think of is maybe Michigan, and that's all the way.
Did they
at the-
play Washington this year?
No.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're
Outside
gonna
of that-
Yeah, that's
they're gonna
where
win out.
It's literally just Oregon and then maybe Michigan because Michigan's at the end of the season.
Yeah.
There's a decent chance they could drop that,
I just
but
don't.
everything else looks.
So they played
it's
at
easy.
Michigan last year. Michigan's coming into Ohio State with a brand new head coach and a brand new quarterback and a bunch of stuff, and they're coming into Ohio State, who's got a
not
bunch of
looking
returning
great.
players. They recruited really well. They still got Ryan Day. go to Oregon, or does Oregon come to them?
I don't know.
Do you
How do
mind looking that
I
up?
actually?
Just look up Ohio State's schedule. It should tell you there.
Who's ever on, if it says Ohio at Oregon or if it's Oregon at Ohio, the visitor always comes first.
Then it should be Ohio at Oregon, right?
Does it say? Hold on.
We have technology.
Yeah, I can look it up. I haven't used my phone at all.
I don't know. It says Ohio first and then Oregon. So what is that?
Yeah, so Ohio is going to be playing at Oregon October 12th.
I mean, they dropped the game last season, so there's a decent chance that playing at Oregon, they're going to drop it again this season.
Oregon beats Ohio State. That's my prediction. Boom.
Boom.
So I'm saying Georgia, Oregon, Ohio State, Texas. No, Georgia, Oregon, Texas, Ohio State. On my fifth one,
So wait, you're thinking Bama's going to drop like 2 or 3?
I don't
plus?
even think I'm gonna put Alabama in my top 5.
You don't think they're making top 5?
I
They got a
think with
brand
the
new
new-
head. They got a brand
new
new
head
head coach, and
coach, yeah.
they lost a ton of their players.
And a lot of people have kind of hit the fan when it comes to like, oh, I got recruited to Alabama. I can go play some places for money now.
Yeah,
So now we think the NIL is basically going to like.
I think it
play
shattered the
against
Alabama.
Bama.
destroy them.
Ooh.
I think they haven't like prepared or like they haven't like, especially with the new head coach. He's not.
Well, then I think I'd want to drop mine out for Oregon as well, because then Oregon would look way better than Bama in the top 5.
I mean, yeah, I think that's a very solid top 5.
I'm going back and forth on my fifth one though, man.
Who
I
you-
don't think
who
it's
you
gonna
stuck
be
between?
Alabama.
It's either Alabama or who. Think
Ole Miss.
All right,
Yep,
Okay.
locking it in.
I can lock that in.
Ole Miss isn't losing another game except for
Georgia.
Ole Miss beats Alabama. Does Ole Miss have to play Oklahoma?
Let's see.
Oklahoma could be up there too.
Because their schedule. Oh my God, I love how they start out with Furman. I went to Furman for like a football camp, so I'm like, oh yeah, let's go, Furman University Christian Knights. They sell that in the student store. Well, not the legit student store, but you know what I'm saying.
Yeah.
But yeah, they start out Ole Miss. Let's see, Furman. They play Middle Tennessee, Ole Miss, Wake Forest, Southern, Kentucky, Ole Miss, South Carolina, Ole Miss, LSU, Oklahoma Oklahoma is coming to Ole Miss at Arkansas, Georgia comes to Ole Miss, Florida, Mississippi State, Ole Miss. So I mean,
They could lose to LSU. No, because LSU just lost their star quarterback. Yep.
yeah.
I'm saying Georgia, Oregon, Ohio State, Georgia, Oregon, Texas, Ohio State, Ole Miss,
I think.
and then I think Alabama's right under there.
I mean, looking at Ole Miss's schedule, like that seems very doable.
Yep.
Like especially like
Yeah.
Furman comes to them, Middle TC comes to them, then they travel to Wake Forest.
Yeah.
Like Ole Miss, then like Georgia Southern. Oh, dude, I would love if Georgia Southern beat Ole Miss. That would just be such a wrench.
That would be kinda
That would just
cool.
be like that would just be the wrench in the entire like
Yep.
brackets. But it's crazy, man. And I mean, there's so many cool things. And hopefully after the season, we can come back in with like, all right, we can look back over this and like see what our predictions were and say, well,
Yeah, I'm
that
excited.
didn't go like we planned.
Yeah, but we could. I mean, I'm not trying to book myself on your show, but we could always do like a weekend roundup of because I try to use my Saturdays and like during football season to watch as many football games as I can.
Well, with the YouTube TV, not a sponsored plug, but we'll take your money. But like, I love that like showing like 4 games and being able to go between like multiple or like even there's a bunch of different like things where you can watch like multiple scores at once.
Yeah,
Like it's not against the rules to.
I mean,
I typically try to catch 3 games in their entirety, including the Georgias, and then I try to keep up with like scores of different games, and then but there's a good podcast. They don't need a shout out. They're the #1 college football podcast, but Cover 3 podcast has a great way to keep
Yeah.
up with like games across the nation.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm excited. I'm excited for this season. I think it's gonna be really good. I think we're gonna do a lot better than. I think my prediction for the schedule is gonna be 1 loss on the regular season. We win our conference championship, and then we get a seed in the top 4, which means we have 2 playoff games, right? 2 playoff. Is it
Yeah.
just 1? I don't know. We're gonna win out. I think we'll. I think we'll take another national championship. I just don't see anybody beating us, like on a neutral field at least.
Yeah. Outside of uncontrollables like the injuries and stuff like that, we
The only team that has a fighting chance at beating us on a neutral field is Ohio State.
And I can understand that.
And even Oregon, but I think Georgia and Oregon are gonna have that same dynamic as Alabama, Florida is. Kirby learned from Nick Saban. We can never beat Nick Saban. I think Dan Lanning learned from Kirby Smart. He'll never be able to beat him. I think that's
master versus the pupil. Yeah.
Yep, I think that's how it's gonna be. But
hell yeah. Well, dude.
All right, man.
Dude.
How long was it?
Yeah, I wonder how.
That was a long one. I felt.
We're right at 2:30.
Oh, okay.
I
Good.
think,
Good 2.5 hours. Nice.
I would say that we come back and visit this around like Thanksgiving time.
That'd be perfect.
Because that'll be right at the end where either we have one game left or we're gonna have just the bowl game.
That will be something. That
I would love to do that.
Yeah, it would be very like the season will be kind of solidified. It's like we know kind of a lot. It's like well, and then we can recap a bunch of other things.
You could also, if something crazy happened in the season, like an emergency podcast. Oh my God!
You won't believe what happened. Hey, someone dropped a nuclear bomb in the middle of Ohio State.
Kent State just blew out Michigan.
Dude,
oh my God!
That's going to be what we
jet
do.
Went down. Now we're on second string.
Yeah.
What do we do?
Yeah.
Oh my God! Yeah,
Yeah,
like one
dude.
of the Boeing's like doors flew off, and an entire Ohio State's first string, like what was that? Marshall. We are Marshall.
Oh God, I don't know.
There's a movie about Marshall like University where they had a plane crash, and then like the whole like second string was like, we didn't even travel, and we're the starters, and it's like you got to win the games or I lose my job.
Didn't Bane blow up Michigan in the Dark Knight Rises?
Yeah, I think so.
Something happens like that.
Yeah, there was definitely something where Bane just destroyed an entire NFL like field. I don't remember who they were playing.
Yep.
But that scene where the running back's just running and he just
Yep.
outran.
He comes around. Yeah.
It's like, oh my God, I don't get paid enough for this.
Yep.
But Ethan,
Cool.
my brother, congratulations again on
Thank
the
you.
engagement.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Appreciate you spending some time with me, man.
Of course,
it's
man.
always a pleasure to have
Of
you
course.
around.
Anytime you want me before you start shouting him out.
Yeah.
This is my episode. No, I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding.
Okay.
I'm just joking. I'm
Oh.
just kidding. I'm just kidding. I'm just saying, yeah. Whenever you want me back, it's always super fun.
Hey.
I love being on here.
I love your personality, and I think it's a
Appreciate
great
it.
fit, man.
I appreciate it. And I'm also into politics. If you ever want to do a political podcast, I'd love to do
we
that
can talk
too.
about BlackRock again.
Yeah. How about BlackRock?
Man, fuck you guys. All right, you know what? Actually, I'm never coming back.
It's
I
all
thought
right.
we almost went that whole episode without bringing that shit up.
We talked about that earlier.
Oh, damn
Go back
it.
and watch the original introduction of Ethan on the Strange Herd. It's fine.
Yeah, that was a great. Yeah, it was an all-time.
I mean, dude,
so.
politics are always great for arguments and clips. So I mean, we can definitely, especially as we can even have maybe we do this as a precursor. We have an election day podcast.
I would love. We
set
show
up
up in suits.
We set up the TV.
Yeah.
We obviously we can't show it, but it's like we could just sit there and we can just like sit there and just talk and debate through everything that's going
Yeah,
on.
I would love to because I feel like me and you both are. We both lean conservative.
Hey, just because I voted for Donald Trump twice doesn't mean I'm going to.
I had a talk. Oh fuck! This is gonna
Run
start
it.
a whole nother
Run
thing,
it.
and I really have to go. But I've been struggling with who I was gonna vote for. I'm struggling between Trump and Kennedy. I truly am, I know Kennedy ain't got a shot at it, but like. I don't know, dude. I don't know, man.
I
He's
think-
just his marketing, talking about the actual legitimate problems.
Yeah.
It's just, I mean, it's
mean,
selling me.
I mean, dude, it's one of those things where it's like he is a legitimate third choice. Like, and if like
He's the best third choice
The
we've
only-
had in a long time.
the only time Republicans and Democrats come together is to squash out an independent, and so it's
yeah,
like
I know.
it's unfortunate. And I mean, there's a lot, but that's definitely a great conversation to have. And I mean,
On another episode.
on another episode, man. We'll get
Have
home
me
to-
back.
I would love to, man. Love
Yeah.
you, brother. Stay
Love
strange.
you, man. Stay
Thank you,
strange.
everyone.
Hey, shout him out. I cut you off before you could.
Man, forget about Seabass.
No, I ain't forgetting about him.
All right. Well, just like, comment, subscribe, hit that noti bell.
Like,
Yeah.
come on, buddy.
Hey, we can't do it without him.
Hey.
Greatly appreciate Seabass over there. He's holding this show together. So
Until next time.
until next time.
Stay strange.
Stay strange.
Stay strange. You want to do some ASMR? Cut me off.
Oh
I need
my
to text.